So Erez asks, how do you develop self-love? The question of all questions, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the path I've been on for forever, but really intensely for the last year and a bit. It's such an ongoing process that, and there's so many ways, I guess, onto the on-ramp of self-love, I suppose we could say. Where do you begin? I mean, really, where do you begin? When you do anything for yourself, and as I go further along, I mean, we could even talk discussion as like, what is self? But for this moment, we'll view the human being in this body that's going around doing things, living this life. We'll say that's yourself. Anything you do for yourself that is by definition good, whether it be for your health, your body, and also for your other self, your spiritual self, right? Anything you do that's good for really your physical human self or your spiritual self in any way will lead to self-love. So for some people, and it's funny, I've met people who totally nothing, just they work, they watch movies, they eat food, they run around, totally like no spirit, nothing, no connection. But because they have physical pain, they work at desks and they have back stuff, they're like, well, I hear yoga's good for that. So they get into yoga because they just have a back problem. But as they really get into it, they start feeling amazing. They start getting into their body. And then they'll have a spiritual experience because they're so present in the moment, just breathing and stretching, where they're like, whoa, I feel amazing. What's going on here? And then they'll start being like, what? And then they'll be like, what else is happening? And then they'll start getting into the philosophy and what is yoga and self-love and blah, blah, blah. And suddenly, just because they were taking the time to work on a part of their self, the body, they're now on the spiritual path. And all that happened was they're like, oh, my back hurts. Oh, I hear yoga's good for that. Okay, let's try it. It's crazy to me, but let's give it a shot. That's it, because they did something for them that was for a benefit. It was a loving thing to do for yourself, right? It's a loving to give yourself the gift of a 90-minute or whatever, a yoga class of breathing and being conscious and moving. It's a beautiful gift, as would be changing your diet and becoming whatever it is, changing your diet so that it would be more healthy and give your body what it needs on a physical level. What do you think happens when you cut out all the sugars and all the, the chemicals and milk and unhealthy meats, and you focus on fruits and vegetables and natural foods and fermented foods and all this amazing stuff for the body? What do you think happens in 3 months when you make that shift? You're going to feel amazing, and guess what? You'll be catapulted on the spiritual path, whether you like it or not, because you're going to start working on your connection with yourself, with your body through what you're doing. So that's another way. And what about another thing I've been saying for years? I don't know what to do. I feel crappy. Yeah, go and help other people. Go and volunteer and find street dogs and help them out and take them to a veterinarian and or to a place that they go and volunteer with homeless people. Go around and do random acts of kindness, because you're going to feel something in your heart when you help someone else and they look at you and they're like, thank you so much. Unless you're totally shut off, you're going to feel, even if it's like a 1%, but that'll open up a little something. And guess what? By doing something for someone else, even though you may not be at the consciousness level or understanding that you are actually them and they're you and there's no separation, on a deep level, you know they're you. On a deep level, you know they're you. And so you're actually being kind to yourself. And that's going to be profound, and that might lead to further stuff. I could keep going, but I won't. Anything that you do that is by definition good for you or other beings will lead you down the path.
So, self-love. There's a question, a precursor question to this, and so I think it's important to ask, do I deserve to be loved? And most of us, the programming we received was you have to earn love, and you're probably never going to be good enough to get love. I mean, this is all misconception about what love is, because I really see love more as a verb than as a commodity you have to get. It's a vibration that we hold. It's like what I was talking about, what we emit. So that first question, do I deserve to be loved? Am I worthy of love? Ponder that, because if you're like most people in this world, you got a message as a child that said, you're not good enough. You're going to have to work way hard to earn my love, and anything you do is not going to be good enough because you're just a fuck up and you're not worthy. So recognize that. If you ask that question of yourself and you start getting that kind of feeling, like, God, I could never be worthy of love, then recognize that as programming. Recognize that as something that was given to your parents to give to you. I mean, it was the programming they received, and now you're supposed to hand that off to your children, because in a system where people don't value themselves, then someone else can step in and make decisions for you. So
I'll love you, but I want you to do this, or spend money on this, or join this club, or comply with this.
Right.
I'll give you that love.
Then you'll be lovable because it's something you have to earn. I'm here to tell you, no, you do not have to earn love. You are made of love. We all are. We've just had all these overlays piled upon us that says that we don't deserve it and we can't have it. And that's just bullshit. That's just a program that's running so that we don't become self-actualizing. So the kind of tips that Sasha gave are great, and do what it takes to, if another thing I would add is when you have free time, if it's a Saturday morning or a Sunday evening, just block that off on your calendar as your time. And maybe at the beginning, you're just going to be sitting in your living room going, now what? And sit there until something moves you. Like, you know what? I'd like to listen to music. I'd like to dance. I'd like to do some stretches. I'd like to walk in nature. I'd like something that comes out of your own heart that gives you that warm feeling like, I love what I'm doing right now. That will give you that feeling of like, I love myself. And this thing of whether I'm worthy or not worthy, that is just such a red herring. It's just to take us way off base, because you don't have to earn love. We are love. We just have to remove the obstacles, many of which were telling us, you're not love, you're worthless, you're going to have to earn this. It's just programming. So if that helps you clear aside that space every so many days, I mean, frankly, I think it's best if every day you create, whether it's only 10 minutes or a half an hour, an hour, where you devote to self-cultivation, whatever the practice may be. It can be breathing, it can be Qigong, it could be yoga, it could be riding your bike, it could be listening in nature, whatever it is, you carve out that space from your schedule and devote it to your own feeding. Just like we have to eat food, or we have to breathe air, or we have to drink water just to keep ourselves standing up. This is the kind of self-cultivation. Never mind whether you deserve it or not, just cultivate your own beingness. And then you're going to go, wow, you know what? I like hanging out with myself. In fact, and then you're going to start to appreciate more and more who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my little rules, and it's probably the most important one in my life, is before noon is my time. Simple as that. So whether I wake up at 7, 8, 9, until noon, that's my time for whatever I want to. And obviously, what do I want to do? I want to raise my frequency up so I feel amazing so that I can enjoy the rest of the day. So even if for the rest of the day I have to work in front of a laptop, which happens, sometimes I have to sit there on the computer and I got to do work. But if I raise my frequency by, eating well and stretching and listening to, Bentino or other, just amazing stuff, chanting, music, putting incense on, if I use sage or Palo Santo, and I just get myself feeling amazing in the morning. And then when noon comes, I'm like, okay, let's go to work. And I'll be happy even sitting in front of a laptop, because you know what? I'm doing stuff that I love, even though I'm sitting there in front of a computer. But my frequency is so high, I'm coming at it from a beautiful place. Then it's not even work anymore. It's easy. But if I wake up, like most people, I'm like, okay, let's check my email. What's on Facebook? You're immediately getting sucked into just fucking around on the computer. You're screwed. Your day's already screwed. So first thing I do is I go out and I stand naked. I get the sun on my face, sun on my balls. I drink healthy water. I have it, I have shake. I stretch. I listen to amazing stuff. I mean, I really do. I just all the stuff I want. It's my time. That's why I'm excited. I wake up. I'm like, all right, let's read that book that I never have time for. Well, it's 8:30. I got 3.5 hours. So I'll start reading that book. And if I want to read that book just till noon, cool. I'll read it for 3.5 hours and go, all right, well, didn't stretch today, but cool. I'll stretch tomorrow. And then boom, I'll go straight to, I'll do what I got to do. And of course, obviously, when I finish work at 6, which is my other rule, no more at work after 6, I can still do stretching or do whatever else I want then. So it's awesome. It's super awesome. Like have your time and do whatever makes you joyful in that time, but in a conscious way. So watching Walking Dead at 8 o'clock in the morning because it's your time, I would be, wary of that. But use your discretion.
That's it. Make time for yourself. That I'd say would be one of the most important things to cultivate self-love is make a time for yourself. And if you don't know what that is, like we've been talking about all kinds of suggestions, start with any kind of so-called spiritual practice or just being, or even looking in the mirror and looking at who's there. And you're an awesome guy, right? You yourself think so.
I think I'm pretty great.
Yeah.
But it took a while to get there.
Right.
And there's more. I know there's more self-acceptance. And I can't wait to see where I'll be in a year. Or I'm like, I'm just be having sex with myself or what? Maybe I'll be back on the masturbation. I don't know. It's been a while since I did it, but it's true. I mean, really, it's such a discovery. It's such a discovery of just like what's in there, how much potential, how much love is in there. It's great. It's the journey of all journeys. I can't imagine anything more exciting. I was watching a video by Bentino this morning, and a woman goes up on stage and he says, why did the creator, if he was already fulfilled, bother making all this? And Bentino's like, well, why do you think? He's like, I don't know. She's like, you're the creator.
So ask yourself. Why'd you make all this? And she's like, I was bored. And he's like, there you go. And she's like, no, it can't just be that. and he's like, well, what is it then? And eventually she said something about, to enable us to experience deeper amounts of love. And he was like, cool. I thought I tuned into myself too. When he said it, I paused the video and I was like, okay, why do I think if I'm God and I'm everything, why would I bother doing all this? I could have just floated around. And the answer came, this is way more exciting. It's way more the excitement. Excitement is the most exciting thing, right? When you're super excited and not. So if you're just God and that you're all there is, you're just there alone, you'd be like, I can do anything, but if I could do anything, why not create all this and all these beings to like then exist and discover that they're God, like and manifest and create cool things. Like that's really exciting. And people meeting each other and having crazy sex and connecting and having all these experiences. That's way more exciting. And so that's why this is a great time. Yeah, there's something called the raw material, RA, like in ancient Egypt raw, that they put out this whole philosophy, which is actually a lot of what is said it was channeled material from the 80s. But the thing is, a lot of what they said on how the universe works has been proved scientifically. So it's not just, woo-woo off the cuff. Anyway, according to this philosophy, it's called the Law of One. And there's 5 books, and it's called the Law of One material. So the Law of One, the first thing is that there's only one. There's only all that is. And then there what they call the distortions to the Law of One. And the first distortion is the law of free will. So one way to interpret that is that the all that is exactly was just like, okay, this is nice for all eternity, everything. So the first thing is the law of free will. Like, I could do something different. So since we're all a fractalized version of the one, we all have that too. Like, I have free will. I can do whatever I want. And then the second distortion of the law of one is the law of light. So if you look at how existence, according to this philosophy, came into being, there was the one who had free will thought, I could do anything. And then I'm going to create. I'm going to make it out of light. So then the basic building block of the universe is the photon, the particle of light, and everything is fashioned out of light. So anyway, in that philosophical framework, we are one, we have free will, and we can create. And since we are all that, we can apply that to our lives. Like, okay, do I want to be stuck in a dead-end job and not getting enough sleep and overworking and running in the rat race? No, I have free will. Now, let me make my free will move and create out of light instead out of the collapsed, contractive energies of like, oh, I'm afraid I won't survive. I'm afraid, you know. Create out of light, out of expansive energy.
Yeah, that's on my reading list. It's up there, the Law of One books. It's behind your book though, so it's gonna be a while till but I will get there. I will get there. But a lot of the things I've already, from talking to people, I've already sort of come to certain understandings. So, awesome, so awesome. I could go on about self-love the whole time.
I know,
because it's just like that's all that I've been on. Something else I was gonna say. Pondering, like I can't, I've said it so many times, I'm going to keep saying it because it changed my life so much. Meditation, it's not even meditation. Sit down and tune yourself to all that is, to the universe, and listen. Put on some incense if it helps, put on some beautiful chanting if it helps, and just listen and tune in and ask questions. All the answers will come, including who am I, why am I here, why am I worthy, everything will come. And a little exercise I used to give my students was so easy when people really had self-doubt and they had worthiness issues. I mean, it's so basic, but I just made people do it, and you can do it. And it was just like, cool. You don't feel you deserve being successful as you are, and all this money that's coming, and this woman that you're dating who's really amazing, and you keep sabotaging yourself because on some level you don't think you deserve. Okay, cool. Make a list of all the worst stuff you've ever done in your life. Yeah, all of it. All the people you screwed over, raped, killed, threw out of buildings, poisoned, all the most horrific crimes you've done, genocide, all those things. Write them all down on a list. Now, you can share it with me or not, but it's for you. And then read the list and go over it, and then really tune in to that for a moment, just how all the horrific things you've done. Take a moment or two, okay? And then when you're done with that, I want you to go and write a list of every beautiful, amazing thing, every person you helped, every person you made laugh, every person you made smile, every person you've ever done anything kind for, anything you've done nice for yourself, anything you've done nice for humanity, anything you've ever done that's helped anyone in any way. You write that list down, and you sit with that for a moment or two or three. And then I want you to take two lists and look at them, and you tell me if you're worthy. I'm going to guess, unless you're a psychopath or an evil being that's somehow gone into self-development, which there are none, that your list of good is going to be a lot bigger than your list of bad. And probably the things on the bad list, it's just going to be one or two times you did something stupid, or you're a little bit jealous, or a little bit angry. And they're probably things you could forgive yourself for. So I would forgive yourself for those things. Make peace. Do what you got to do. Call people if you have to call people. But make peace with that list, which is probably going to have almost nothing on it, because I know it doesn't, because you're here. And then make peace with it. Thank it for whatever lessons were there. Take it to a fire and say goodbye and burn it in the fire. And then realize that there is only the list of good. That you are good. That you are love. That's where you came from. That's what you are. And you are worthy. And the evidence is on the list. You are good by definition. I know it already. Very simple. It's so basic, but like people do that, and they're like, I've had people literally do that and go, there wasn't anything. I mean, I lied to one person once, or I think I still owe this guy $20 from like 4 years ago. I guess I could just give it to him. Everything else was like all this great stuff I've done, and I'm like, yeah. So how you feeling about you dating that really beautiful girl who likes you now? And the guy literally looked at me and went, yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I'm like, yeah, go and make some babies. And that was the end. And then he was great after that. So it's literally can be that simple of just really, what is the reality of it? Because when you're looking at that list, you're not taking into account your mother who told you you're shitty all the time, or society that says you should make more money to be successful. All those bullshit fucking filters that we all have, her, me, you, everybody, we all have them, but they're not on that list, because a list is the truth, the ultimate truth of what have you done. That's the ultimate truth. That's your actions tell you what you are, whether you're a being of fear and destruction and evil, or love and light and compassion. And I already know which one you are, but you need to figure that out. So if that little exercise helps, please
So I guess you never had any like top level presidents or prime ministers do that, because they wouldn't have gotten out of the first list. Probably.
No, they would just feel horrific, and they'd go into some sort of program to rehabilitate themselves, and they'd be too busy getting better to try and take over the world. All right, but we'll talk about this topic, I'm sure, again. I don't think it's ever gonna end. Somebody wrote. Darren asked, "What are your views on veganism as a spiritual practice?" And I wanna